Hello, welcome to Meet the Author, brought to you by Author Event Network in partnership with the Bremerton Public Access Television. Normally, during this show, we introduce you to one of our nearly 60 authors in Seattle and Portland chapters. Tonight we have a special show planned, a panel of AEN authors. They are here to discuss the experience of selling directly to readers as a group of authors in the booth of regional festivals, fairs, and events. We have 3 authors on our panel. Peter Stockwell, a prolific and accomplished author of science fiction and crime investigation, who taught school here in Kitsap. Brianna Kaplan-Sayers, a Random House best-selling children's author and publisher of intergalactic Afikoman children's books. And Denise Frazino, a Hemingway Award-winning author of historical fiction and murder mystery. Starting with Denise, our panelists will take turns asking each other questions about the AEN experience and why it works for them to sell more books. Let's meet our authors. Would each of you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brianna Kaplan-Sayers, and I'm an author of children's books as well as the founder of a boutique Jewish children's publishing company called Intergalactic Afikoman.
And I'm Peter Stockwell, a local author here in the Kitsap County area, and I write crime mysteries and science fiction as well as inspiration using my dad's sermons.
I'm Denise Frazino. I write historical fiction and a little bit of murder mysteries like Peter. So that's who we are.
Is it time for us questions now?
Why not?
I think so.
I have.
Why don't you go ahead?
Oh, thank you, Peter. You're so kind. All right. I know that I've had issues with this. Did you have any idea how hard it was going to be, once we're done writing, getting the advertising, all of the things that need to be done to get it in front of people? And what was it like before you joined AEN and after you joined AEN?
Well, since I've been doing this a long time, when I first had a book, I was a member of the Pacific Northwest Writers Association. I also went to Thriller Fest in New York, and I presented my manuscripts to people and got torn apart. But my whole goal at that time was to find an agent, literary agent, and then they would take me onto the publishing world. And that didn't work out very well. So I went into self-publishing, and of course then the marketing becomes the question that we all have as to how we market these books. And that's where AEN came into play when I joined AEN.
So I guess I had no idea is the first answer to your question, Denise. I just did not know how hard it was going to be. I am lucky in that I have Random House as the publisher of my series and some other traditionally published books with Holiday House, Bloomsbury, and Charlesbridge. And so they are doing a lot of work, so I have to say great gratitude to my wonderful publisher for all the work they do on behalf of those books. And then I founded my own small Jewish children's publisher, Intergalactic Afikoman, and for that I am responsible for a lot of the marketing. I work with an amazing director of cosmic marketing, Joyce Friedman, and then I am lucky that Lerner's our distributor. And so Lerner Children's Books helps to get those books out there. But with all that said, there is a huge amount, even for traditionally published authors, that we need to do to work to, it doesn't matter that you're traditionally published, you're still expected. And as me, I love to get my books out there and I want to work. And then as a publisher, I need to let people know about our amazing children's books and that they need to know about these Jewish children's books. And I need to make sure they get out in the world. So AEN helps me with that when I go to fairs and festivals. It also helps me keep in touch with the people that are reading those books. And it's really exciting to just find somebody that likes my series of truck books and go like, yay.
Well, that's a really good point, because here we are. You're traditionally published, and both Peter and I are independent published, and that's where something like AEN has stepped in and really made a difference for us, because I literally had no idea. You get your book and you walk around and go, okay, now what do I do? I've got the product, but how do I get it out into the market?
Yeah, I find it very interesting that when we want to be in the published world, that publishers aren't really looking for anybody unless they have some kind of a name. And if we have some kind of a name, yeah, they'll come to us. But trying to get into that major market like you did, Brianna, is not easy. And so those of us who are independently published, we have to have some kind of local marketing that we can do, and then of course put the work in if we want to be nationally done or picked up by somebody. It's not easy.
Nope.
But I enjoy it.
It's all
And
work.
Considering the fact that this is a retirement gig, a retirement career, I'm having fun with it anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite part of being with AEN?
You know, it's a camaraderie, and it's you get there and your day begins, and it could be raining. We've had that. It could be misting, or it could be really, really, really hot. But we work together as a group. And I remember, Brianna, you had stepped away at one of the last ones, remember? And what happened?
What's that? I've had people sell books for me.
That's
You
right.
sold a book, Irina sold a book.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts, is going away from the booth and having come back and discovering I've sold a book when I was just getting a snack from the festival.
And the other part is, you know, we all know our different genres, and if somebody comes up and we say, to a reader who is approaching the booth, what is your favorite genre? And they say murder mystery. Well, Peter and I will duke it out a little bit, but
We'll all refer them
we'll
your
all
direction.
refer them, and it's really fun having a children's author in the booth, because it adds a whole nother level, and then we get to say, oh, parents, we have books for you, right? So we all work together as a unit. What else do you think about?
Yeah, my favorite part is the people. I love when I see you guys, when I see your faces, when I see Guy, I get excited when I see who's there. I've made friends, I've made colleagues, I've made people and we support each other. That the fact that people sell my books, that I am proud when I've sold one of theirs, that we are there for each other. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun to show up and be like, oh yeah, I get to be next to Peter and he's going to do his patter, and really you're just such fun to be next to, Peter, because you're very I just love the people.
Oh, that's sweet.
And how supportive we all are of each other. The fact that we do know, as you said, Denise, that we're going to direct people to any part of the table depending on what type of book that they say they're interested in.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is that my dear wife is a member of a family that grew roses. And so the big thing that she had was competition. You know, you had to have the best rose, or it just wasn't good enough. And she tried to think on those terms when it came to marketing books. Well, you're in competition with these other authors. And I tried to explain to her very clearly, no, I am not in competition with other authors. We're out there, and people want particular genres. They want to read particular types of books. And yes, maybe we have, in Denise, in my case, we have
overlapping.
Some overlap. Or with Guy, we have some overlap with thrillers and such. Or the science fiction wing of my books. But I don't find it to be competition. I find it to be invigorating that we are all working together to get our books out in front of readers who are very excited about our books.
And about meeting us. That's the other thing, is there is nothing better than having someone come to the booth and say, okay, I read your last book, where's your new one? When's it coming? Things of that sort.
Right.
You know, so that's, you know, as for me, I've done 12 years of research on my historical fiction, and I have the third one coming out. And last time we were together, two people came up and said, is it out? And I said, no. And they said, well, then you have to come to our book club and explain why. And I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, yeah. So meeting the people that are our readers, you know, is so impactful as a writer. Because come on, it's one of the loneliest occupations out there. It's you and a blue screen for hours at a time, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love, like you were saying, Brianna, I love getting with the people and getting their energy and propelling it to help us with our sales as well.
Yeah, being the fact that if you study what authors are, probably 75% of the authors are introverts. The only thing they love to do is write. Take my book, publish it. I don't really want to be in front of the crowd. I just want to write. But then there are those of us who are extroverts, and we go out there and we say, hey, we're here. And we enjoy being in front of the crowds.
Yeah.
We also enjoy the writing. I find it very exciting to explain my characters, explain the plot that I've put out, explain the dialogue when people ask questions about it.
Correct.
And it's amazing. You know, I've been doing this for a long time now in Kitsap County, and I have people that recognize me as I took my granddaughter to her gymnastics class a couple of weeks ago and was talking with another couple there. And this lady says, "You're Peter Stockwell." And I said, "Yes, I am." She says, "I've got your books." And I said, "Okay, great." So we figured out which books that she had. And I said, "Well, I've got more books now." She says, "Oh, really?" So I gave them the fact that we're going to be at various festivals coming up. And, I'll be glad to get there.
You know, you brought up a really good point. As a solo person, it is extremely overwhelming to try and find all of these festivals and all of these places to sell. And then if you were going to try and do this independently instead of joining something like AE, and you have the tents to buy, the chairs, the tables, the insurance.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much that goes into this that Guy does for us as a group, right?
I am so grateful. I am so great, and it would be so hard to do it. And also, I can't exhibit at a fair for an entire weekend. I'm a mother. It's not possible for me, and for a variety of reasons. But I can be there for a few blocks, and because we're a team, we all fill in all those hours, and we're able together to be greater than the sum of our parts. So I'm very grateful to be working with all of you, and for what Guy has put together.
Yeah.
And we have said before, we have a children's author coming tomorrow when we know you're on the schedule. You know,
and by the way, we have many other wonderful children's authors. As you guys overlap in
yes.
mystery, I overlap with the children's authors, but
Correct.
but you can never have too many books. Books are wonderful. So it's
There
like
you go.
can't say, well, I have one children's book, so I don't need any others. That is
No.
not
That's not how it works.
Any reader does not. And I love when we ask to somebody, do you like, are you a reader? Do you like books? And then the people who are drawn to our table, the parents, the children, the ones who really love books, and they come and they're so excited to find us at the fair and the festival and say, "There's books here." And then they say, "Wait, you wrote these books?" And then they say, "You can autograph them for me, and I can take a picture with you." And I mean, they're so excited when we meet our target audience. Our target audience is just so excited to meet us. So.
And one fun thing that we do is if we've had a reader buy every single one of our books.
Oh,
And
that's
do you remember
fun.
what we do?
Yeah.
We go out front and we take a picture with them. Yeah. And then we post it on our social media sites of the reader with all of our books. That's really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for both of you.
Oh, good.
We've got
I hope
probably
so.
answers.
What have you learned about marketing or about anything else from your fellow AEN members?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, marketing is the most difficult part of this entire career. You know, I have learned how to write a book. And of course, you know, we all know that the manuscript that we created initially is, can I say it on air? Not good. I won't say the C word. But it's not good, and we know it's not good, and that's why we edit. Well, I've learned how to edit too, and I've got all friends of mine that edit my books with me. And then I do my own covers, and I make sure I have a block of the ISBN numbers that I purchased, because it's a lot cheaper that way. So I use them as I need to go along.
Correct.
And then formatting the book into files that can be sent to the printer, so
Right.
that they can be printed. And then they'll look over the files and say, well, this looks good. And then they send to the printer, we print one book, and they send it to me, and I proof it. And I give it to my other friends, and they proof it.
Right.
And then, okay, fine, we're set. And this sounds like a lot of work.
But it hasn't even begun. The work hasn't even
No.
begun, because now it's marketing.
Now it's to marketing.
That's right.
Right.
And that to your point, and your question is, I have watched other people sell in our booth, and I've learned tactics, or I've thought, I don't know if that was effective, or I like the way she approached this or he approached this. And so it's been very helpful to watch each other and how they they do their sales. Because sometimes when you get there, you've had a bad day, something's gone wrong, or you're like this. And the group seems to help you focus on helping you get your books out. And that's what we're there for, is to get our books out. So for as far as marketing goes, it's been extremely helpful because we learn from each other. Have you tried this? You know, this is a good thing to try. So that's what I've learned.
Yeah, and I agree. The fact that each of us can share what we do and we watch each other, it's kind of nice.
Peter,
And then,
we
of
watch
course-
you constantly.
We do.
Yeah,
We do.
yeah.
That's totally true.
Great.
In
But-
a good way. In a
Oh,
very
yes.
good way.
But you see, the whole point is that as we are out there, we realize that we're not alone.
Yes.
Authors many times are very lonely people, and you know, I've met many authors at the various events that I've gone to, and they're just people.
Yes.
And we have to remember that the audience that we're writing for are also just people, and when they come to us and they say, I really like your books, or I really like this subject matter, I love this genre, it's fine with me. I think it's great. And so when I have all these other people around me that have various genres, and I can say, you know, you really ought to try that book. You ought to try this author. You really need to go up and down this line. I never feel like I'm in competition. And, you know, I've sold thousands of books, and it's kind of fun. To me, if I make it fun and enjoyable, we're better off.
And
AEN helps do that.
Definitely. And I just want to say, you guys have taught me a lot. Like, to answer my own question, I've learned to be braver, and that other people are getting rejections too. When I'm having a day and I'm not selling very many, I know other people out there also, like, it just feels less alone. And it also feels like I've watched you at Peter and Irina and some of our members that are very good at, you know, just being brave and getting our voices out there and saying, would you like to come over here? Are you going to come talk to us? And I've learned to be braver, and that it's getting rejected is okay, which is funny because that's one of the lessons you learn as a writer, is that rejection is okay. You get,
Oh, yes.
I made it my goal to get 100 rejections before I got the contract. So I don't know if I got to 100. Everybody always asks, but I just know that I watch you guys do it, and I say I can do it too, and then that makes me not feel so strange as I'm approaching people, because it's a little scary sometimes to talk to people at a festival that you don't know and say, are you interested in looking at my book? But because we're all together, there's sort of a strength in numbers in our community, and I feel braver about doing the marketing.
You know, that's a really good point you make, and thank you for saying that about us, because we love having you in the group as well, you know, because you bring your own as well. But you know, it's interesting because my books are somewhat controversial. World War II. And so I've had people come up to me and almost become argumentative. And so it's learning how to deal with that in public, which helps me not only with my writing, but helps me know how to handle it in the future. And so it's, whereas most of the time people are very interested and love it, but some people are like, now wait a minute, you're claiming this. So it's you know, having your thoughts out there, having your face out there can sometimes be a challenge.
Yeah. Hopefully what we're going to do as we go through this over the time periods, we're going to make improvements to AEN. Got any suggestions on how we can make this an even better organization? Keep Guy in line and the whole works?
Oh, that's a lot. That's a huge task. Forget it. I don't know, because it's running pretty darn smoothly right now. I know what we need. We need an event that allows us to have more tents, because now, you know, space is. Everybody is so anxious to be at these fairs and things and we've been so extremely successful at most of them. There's a few, because certain areas just aren't readers, or they didn't know we were coming, and they weren't expecting books at the place, you know. So that's always a challenge. But I don't know. Do you have any suggestions?
And I agree with you, Denise. My answer was sort of, I don't know, because I think AEN is pretty amazing and perfect as it is. One thing is, if we could arrange for there to be no rain during folk life.
There you go.
If we can, if we can,
I'm with you, honey.
If we could control the weather, I would be, if we could control the weather, I think it would be pretty awesome, but that's about it for me. Because I just think it's a great group and it's really working beautifully.
Yeah, we need, Guy has started the idea of us recording number of book sales and such, so that he gets a record of which of these events are doing really well and which events need some change, or maybe we drop off on some of them. And there are a couple of places that I know he has applied and they have said, well, we don't do books. And I'm just wondering why, when it's a craft event. And this is a craft. What we do in writing books is a craft. And so we are creating, we're making. Do we print the books ourselves? No, I don't. But I did craft the book that's there.
You did create it.
So I created it, and I think that some of these places, we need to convince some places that it's okay if you have a bunch of authors come in. So
It's an interesting concept that we aren't craft people as writers.
I know, but we are.
We are. We definitely are.
So, any other events you can think of that we haven't done yet that we need to get involved in? I'm thinking of the Lilac Festival, for instance, up in Port Townsend. There are events on Bainbridge Island.
The interesting thing about these different events is we need to know, one important part of it is to know the market. Would they really sustain, for example, the type of children's books or my type of historical fiction? Some areas, oddly enough, are not as receptive to others. But Guy works so hard to do all of this for us. And, we're there. By the way, we're there putting tents up, taking them down, and we all pitch in and help. And I think that's part of what's so good about this is it's not, everybody pitches, everybody works, and that brings us together. And that is what is very important about a team. It's more of a team than anything else. Like Peter said, it's not competitive as much as it is supporting each other. And that's of extreme value.
Yeah. So I guess the question that becomes when it comes to events is, how far are we willing to travel to go to an event that we know we can sell books, make a profit on them, and not eat it up by having to do a hotel room and restaurants and all that? The Moon?
The Moon.
Oh, well, my company's Intergalactic Afikomen, so I'd love to go to
There
the
we go.
But can I ask you, Denise, you mentioned Guy, and I just wanted to ask you guys a question that I have in mind, because we've mentioned Guy several times. What would you like to say to Guy?
Well, thank you. Thank you. And don't quit working. Don't let anything happen to you. Forget finishing your next book, because we need you. That's the most important part. And we're there for him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first met Guy, he contacted me because he had this new book called Swarm, and I had my new book called The Mistress, which is the science fiction. And so we met up in Paulsbo at the gazebo down on the waterfront, and we talked, and I didn't know him, he didn't know me, but we exchanged books, and then from there we ended up being this group called Author Event Network, and you know what? It's expanded. I think we have something like 60 authors on the list now.
Right.
So there are a lot of authors all over this county that are writing books. And frankly, I think it's a great event. And I want to thank you two for coming and being on this panel. And we can discuss this AEN and what we do and how marketing works, because it's gone pretty well. I think we've done very, very well with this.
There's been a big leap in sales when you can get out in front of your public, like we do in our AEN tent, and people, you meet people and you get them engaged. And literally, some of the readers work down the lines and look at all of us, and it's visibility.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest marketing tools you can have is visibility.
So thanks a lot, kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
We've done well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today on AEN Meet the Author. AEN authors will be at several holiday events coming up in November and December for both our Seattle and Portland chapters. On the screen, you see more information on those events, dates, and links. We look forward to seeing you in the booth. In the meantime, enjoy the holidays with family and friends and loved ones. From AEN to all of you, happy holidays and keep on reading.